Kyle Tucker, is it a break out of the slump, or was the Angels pitching that bad? We're going to get into that. Pete Crow-Armstrong, are you worried about the second half for Hollywood Pete? How about playing time for two of the young spark plugs on this Cubs team, Owen Caissie and Matt Shaw? I think they need to get them in the lineup more. Cubs start the road trip off with a sweep, and we're going to get into our glass half full look. Our buddy Naren Desai joins us right after the open. Subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys for being here. Can't wait to talk to you. Go Cubs. Please, everybody. There he is. Naren Desai. I'm Mick Gillespie. Good to talk to you guys on the show. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. This is a podcast format. We're going to talk a lot here on today's show, but it is great to see you, Naren. You and I text a lot during the games, and we are religious followers of our favorite team. And we were both pretty concerned about Kyle Tucker because at Wrigley, before the Cubs faced the Angels, he was terrible. He looked hurt. Comes to Anaheim. Was it cortisone? Was it rest? Was it magic? Was it voodoo? Did they sacrifice a live chicken? I don't know. But all of a sudden, the guy's killing the ball. So is he breaking out, or is it bad Angels pitching or voodoo?
Oh, I think the couple days probably did him good to try to find his swing. I don't know if people know. I mean, who knows if I notice it or everybody knows it, but he does use his shoulders quite a bit. You know, the way he has that uppercut swing when he turns on a ball, when he pulls it in the air. And I just wasn't seeing that. I was seeing a lot of wrist, seeing a lot of rolling over with like his tweak and his swing. So yeah, I think maybe he got into it a little bit. He watched some video, took a couple of days off, got in with DK, and I think maybe he's getting his swing back. He's too good of a hitter. If he's healed, they can find out what they're doing wrong. They can break everything down frame by frame. And maybe those couple of days helped him. And he didn't look good on Thursday. I was at that game, the bleachers. And, I do think that it took a little bit longer for him to get into a groove. And I like what we saw in LA. I think maybe getting away from Wrigley was a good thing.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's part of it. I also feel like part of it is the fact that they did something. I mean, they just did something, right? I mean, like something was totally different. And it wasn't the home run that caught my eye. It was the strikeout with the bases loaded, because even though he didn't hit the ball, the swing looked right. It just looked right. Now, the Angels pitching also is terrible. And when you look at the location of some of those pitches they threw him, everything was belt high in, which is his wheelhouse. But I still think the swing works. And I think that whatever it was that was going on with him, he had a lot of pressure to figure it out, because it was getting to the point where Owen Caissie was just a better option. And no star player wants to see the young guy come and take his job. And I think that competition, I've said it on this channel, and I'll say it forever. I think in any sport, anything really, not just sports and life, competition is good. It's going to bring out the best. But Kyle Tucker is one of the best players in the game. You got to have him. Never did we say we didn't want him. We just said, hey, you got to be healthy and contribute. Watching him, Jason Hayward, the ball to second base over and over again wasn't good enough. And I hope he's broke out of the slump. I think he is. I really do.
Well, another factor might be this is the first time he's had to be the man.
Yeah.
Maybe he had other slumps or, other nagging injuries, but Altuve and Jordan and all these other guys are making them look good. Or maybe they had a big lead and nobody noticed. When you're on such a good team and you've got such a big lead in the standings, where, we really fell behind the Brewers. So, and you could tell if Kyle Tucker hits, other guys are going to hit. I just think that that's the kind of guys we have on the team. And I think that that's just going to be a big factor. And I think it's going to be a trickle down impact from some of the other guys that, I just don't think we have guys that can carry the team other than Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about this. Tucker hits a home run on Friday. Pete Crow-Armstrong hits a home run on Friday too, right? They bookend those home runs. They win 3-2. They missed other opportunities to score. But it kind of felt like for the first time in a while that the Cubs had their two biggest pieces moving in the right direction again. And that brings me up to our second topic, and that's Pete Crow-Armstrong, the guy I call Hollywood Pete. Do you have any concerns about his second half? He's a couple of home runs away from 30. He looks like a shoo-in to have 30 home runs and 30 steals. Had the game-winning home run on Friday. The exit velocity on some of his outs, pretty amazing. How he hit the ball so hard he hurt the guy's hand. The second baseman for the Angels. I mean, the guy took his glove off. It's like, ow. So I value that. It's not always about hits. It's about whether you're making contact and having good at bats.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern with him is that the league was going to adjust to him, especially his power, and he's just not walking. He swings at too many bad balls. That's a little bit of a concern. He's got to adjust a little bit. Be a little more passive and lay off pitches, and he'll get a better pitch. And then I think we talked about already is if Tucker does well, then there'll be less pressure, and then I think the pitching's going to thin out here in September. It always does. As you play non-contenders. But no, I mean, I'm concerned, but I think my concerns are expected because he's a second-year player and the league knows what he can do now. So they're just going to try to find weaknesses until he adjusts. So I think he will. I'm sure he's hitting a little bit of a wall too, long season. I do think that first 50 games or whatever it is, 35 games, or they had a tough schedule in the beginning of the Japan trip and everything. I'm sure that took a little bit out of him and, just dog days. So they got to recharge and refocus, and this is now really what it's all about, right? I mean, it's all about getting in and getting hot.
Right. Look, I think that his biggest issue is the next step in his game, maturation. If I can even say that word right, maceration. I got to get wrong twice. What's wrong with me? I think that his biggest issue right now is he's got to take more pitches, and it's tough to do it because he makes a lot of contact. But when you watch Kyle Tucker, he's so good at taking pitches. He's so good at working at bats. He takes a lot of pitches. He works the count, and he's not afraid to take a walk. I feel like Pete Crow-Armstrong sometimes has his aggression used against him. So he's hitting pitches that they want him to hit that aren't necessarily pitches he can do a whole lot with, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I see with him is that he just needs to slap a few balls into the opposite way. When it makes sense, 2 strikes, or when the ball's they're just pitching him away, and just show that he'll do it, and then that'll just change everything. It's a cat and mouse game with these pitchers, these advanced scouting reports. I mean, they know how he is, right? So you just have to show them that you can, he's gonna adjust, or just show that hey, I'm gonna slap this ball 80 miles an hour into an easy single, and then all of a sudden that changes everything.
Right. Get on base and use that speed. He's a great base runner. Guys, we're brought to you by our Mick Nation AveD destination, right? Use that QR code. We're going to give away playoff tickets and more right here on the Cubs baseball channel. But go there. It's free. Sign up, play the games, pick whether you think the Cubs are going to beat the Giants tonight. Did you think the Cubs were going to beat the Angels? 3-game sweep, all that stuff. We just have a good time over there. It's kind of our location. Some of you guys have already signed up for it, but it's free. It's fun. And again, we'll have prizes. We're going to keep track of, the standings, how successful you are and all that. We'll reset it every once in a while. So thank them, AveD, for joining us. And thank you guys for being a part of it as well. Yeah, I got up this morning and pretty early. So I'm working tired right now, but that's part of this time of year, man. It's like you get up and go and do your thing, and it's like we've got a month left in the season or so. It's like push to the finish line. One of the things that the Cubs were doing, and you can tell they're on fumes right now. It's definitely the dog days of summer, and that's obvious, right? With the way that this team hasn't hit a lot, they bring Owen Caissie in. He starts to do well, and then Craig Counsell buries him on the bench. And Matt Shaw's the best hitter on the team since the All-Star break. and he's not getting consistent playing time. And a lot of you guys get in the comment section and aren't happy about it. It's like, I know that some of you guys were like, well, we're clutching prospects. Now you see why we didn't get rid of Caissie. But what? And then it's like, well, we don't have any at bats here. I think I'm tired of seeing Ian Happ get out. I'm tired of Dansby Swanson not delivering with men on base. Seiya Suzuki's your DH, but you know what? Owen Caissie can DH too. Maybe you match him up somewhere. I feel like, and I like Craig Counsell, don't get me wrong. I feel like he's got a lot of this David Ross in him. And I would rather see that Joe Madden style where it's like, hey, I'm going to ride the hot hand here. What about you?
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, like as a fan, we're all super fans that are on this channel. We definitely want to see Owen Caissie and Shaw play. I mean, I want them to get weird. I want them to go Nico Shaw like for a game 1-2 and just see what happens.
Right.
Especially when Kyle Tucker was hurting. When he was struggling, like bat Kyle like lower in the lineup, just give him a break. Let him ease into the game. Little things like that. Like let him bat in the second or third inning instead of the first inning. Does that like mentally like let him just kind of get into the game? But just get a little weird with the offensive struggles. But Counsell, these guys, they're very methodical in terms of don't want to lose the clubhouse, want to show that we believe in like everyone earned their spots. So I understand the both sides of it, but yeah, I don't know why Matt Shaw would ever get a day off right now. But again, like these guys have never played this many games in a row. I mean, a lot of times I'll do like the splits, in the minor leagues. And it's like, why don't these guys play every day? Like, why are you playing 20 games out of 30 days? I don't get it, but that's just how they do it in the minors. So, for them to play like 10 games in a row, it's just new to them. And then with, the college season, it's very different, right? So I just think that there's some of that going on. There's matchups. They got to get Castro in there. They got to get his back going. He had that 130-yard homer last week, but they got to get his back going. I'd play him more, I play him more. I rotate the DH spot. I give PCA not only just a game off, but like a couple at bats off, here and there when it makes sense if the matchup works, right? So just from that perspective, yeah, I'm all for that. But yeah, I mean, I want those guys to play, but I understand that like the science or the madness behind how these managers operate. Hap, is very, he's a company guy, so they're not gonna not play him because he can get hot and carry the team. He's done it.
He's good. When he gets hot, he's good. But
yeah,
I don't know, man.
But it'd be helpful.
I'm just so sick of like penciling in guys who are inconsistent. Right? Like I look at Dansby Swanson's stats and I just go, where are these coming from?
Like
it's not in the clutch. Like he's got a pretty good season statistically going, but I look, man, one of my favorite Cubs teams was the 87 Cubs. Loved Andre Dawson. Clutch, late innings. The Hawk was, he might not get a hit, but let me tell you something. He was going to put the bat on the ball and put it in play. Rhino, right? Mark Grace. These guys were good when the game was on the line. I feel like somehow Dansby Swanson has these stats that don't match what I'm seeing. Now, I know defensively I love him. I love him running the bases. I like his leadership. All the traits that we liked about Jason Hayward. He's a better hitter, but not that great. And it's like I look at the stats and I'm like, I just don't get that feel from when he's at the plate. If it's 2 outs in the late innings, I go ahead and mark out the out already and start looking at the next inning. Is that fair?
Well, I think that's the result, right? That's what we've seen for almost 3 years now. Dansby, the thing that drives me nuts about Dansby is that, these guys are so talented, but he's got like a very one-dimensional swing path. Like the only thing he's going to do is hit line drives to like left field, either an out or a homer or down the line. It's just like no diversity in like where the ball is spray chart. You don't see a lot of like base hits up through the middle. You don't see a lot of like gappers to right center. He's only trying to do one thing with his swing path. And it's just like, you would think that you have that kind of talent. You could have like different swings for different pitches, But But who knows, right? Like maybe that's just a unique thing. But even like Nico, I mean, Nico needs to slug more, and he's talented. He should slug more. So then they can't play in on him, right? They play in on him. Like a lot of his balls are like, oh, that's a base hit. It's like, well, yeah, they're playing shallow in right field, so he doesn't hit the ball over the right fielder's head really ever. So they have to they can play in on him. So I mean, all these guys say they have a lot of talent. So it's not that easy. It's easy for me to say that, right? I'm just a super fan here in my kitchen doing a podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, you watch every day. I watch every day too. I've been around the game for 40 years. I'm not saying I'm, the biggest expert of all times or anything, but I mean, I know when a guy comes up when he's not going to give you a great at bat, when he's going to hit like when Kyle Tucker comes up in the clutch up until he was hurt, man, great at bats, Pete might get out, but I'm telling you, he's not going to just sit back and waste an opportunity to try to drive the ball. I feel like we're kind of like we're going to put Dansby out there every day. We're going to put Ian Happ out there every day, and we're going to get very mediocre results at the plate. And it's like, at what point do you look at the guys that could help you on the bench? I mean, Nico played shortstop, and he was really good. Now, I'm not saying he's Dansby Swanson, but he's get you by, right? I thought Nico, my prospect evaluation of Nico was that he had the potential to be very Rhino-esque, right? And the reason I said that is because he hit so many line drives. This is before he played in the big leagues. I thought that if you watch him, man, he barrels the ball up a lot. And I thought that eventually he's a pretty strong guy. Like eventually he'd add some lift and a little bit of man strength, and they'd turn into home runs like Rhino. But that's not what happened. Rhino told me a story about, one of his coaches telling him, hey, I want you to try to hit the tarp during batting practice. You know what I mean? And basically what they were doing is they were trying to get him to pull the ball so far out that it hit the tarp. And then those turned into home runs.
Yeah, Jim
I
Fry.
don't know. Right. Yeah, right. Nico, they just haven't. But you know what? Besides that, I mean, the guy gets on base a lot. He makes a lot of contact. And then with runners in scoring position, it's not like Dansby. I mean, he gets hits. They're probably singles, but, at least he gets hits. I think to win, you got to get out of the mentality of, hey, here's the contract that this guy has. That means it's his position, and do what the team needs done, right? Be a manager of the team, not a manager of the contracts. And that's a criticism of baseball. That's not just a criticism of the Cubs, but I definitely felt like Rossi was doing that, and I feel like Craig Counsell does that. And when the Cubs are struggling to score, and I'm looking at some of the sparks that could help them sitting on the bench, guy comes off, Caissie hits a 114-mile-an-hour double, and then we don't see him anymore, right? And it's like, okay, well, maybe they'll figure him out, but, right now this guy could help you win. But he's going to be sitting on the bench, and we're going to have Ian Happ in the game, and we might get a walk, and then he might get hot and carry you for 3 days. Then again, he might go 2 weeks without doing anything. Right. So I don't know. That's my frustration with the team. All right, let's change gears though. And you guys know I feel that way. Cubs start with a sweep on the road. Now they go play the Giants. Then they go play the Rockies. I mean, you talk about matchups that are favorable to you. It's hard to score in San Francisco. So the Cubs are going to have trouble scoring, but the Giants might too. So I think those would be close games. Maybe figure out a way to win. Then the Rockies have been terrible, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they can get 5 out of 6, you put yourself in a really good position. I mean, I'm kind of like not really looking at the standings anymore. I'm looking at the games above 500. So
right,
if they're 21 over 500 now,
which is great.
Yeah,
I'm putting your glass half full up, so you could give them your opinion right now. Throw it at them.
Yeah, I mean, like as you look at the schedule, you look at the current record, you look at the rest of the league, you look at where we rank, compared to even the American League top teams. I mean, the Cubs are probably going to be between like 94, 96 wins. It seems like, unless they were like just average going into the rest of the year, they could collapse. They did in 2023. But just, like their current pace, if they were just 500, they'd be like 92, 93 wins. So, and they've got a pretty easy schedule until the last 10 days. So, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of looking at that. I'm also looking, and if we would have signed, we could have signed up for 94, 96 wins before the season, and we would have said, great improvement. We went from 83 to that, without spending $300 million. So yeah, I mean, looking at that from that perspective, I'm looking good. I'm like very much like 20 games over 500. Now we're 25 games over 500, and we get to 30. Like, I'm not going to complain that the Brewers won 98 games. I mean, I'm disappointed that they were that much still better than us. But I'm not going to. That's something out of like our control that they were that hot for that long with like a kind of a fringe team. So good for them. They found a way.
I don't think they've got it won yet, though. I could see them. I could see them getting as cold as they have been hot. That's the nature of this business. Cubs have a better roster. Sometimes we complain about how the roster's managed. And that could be manager, that could be front office. There's also stuff that could be going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Like the things that so and so's injured or so this and that. Whatever. The talent is there. And when you add Cade Horton to this rotation, becoming the guy that we thought he could be and more, I think a rookie of the year candidate. And honestly, if baseball's not taking note yet of how good this kid is, they're missing out. Because the only thing that's going to stop him is his health. And he could be good for a long time. This is what I told you guys before he even played. I said, this is Pryor and Wood. I said it just like this. Pryor and Wood talent. It's the most talent the Cubs have had come up as a pitcher since those two. Bar none. Not even close. And it's playing out like that. But he's got to stay healthy. And so the Cubs have to manage his load, right? And I agree with this. He's never thrown 134 innings. They don't let him throw that much. I said put him in bubble wrap. Well, now he's in the big leagues and he's dealing. You need him. So what are you going to do, right? But I think if the guy finishes the way he's pitching right now, he could be a dark horse today, but the favorite to win the Heisman, the favorite to win the Cy Young, the Rookie of the Year.
He's the favorite right now on the betting lines.
Is he?
Yeah, he jumped over the weekend.
So over the time of his last start, I had it pulled up on a show two shows ago, and he was the fifth guy.
Yeah.
So that must have been before they adjusted. But he, to me, should be the top guy because his game is that dominant. The consecutive innings without allowing a run, thanks to the bullpen for effing that up. Like they seem to do a lot this year. Guy comes back out, blister, gives up a home run, comes back, and it's like, hey, blister's healed. You're not getting any runs off me. It's been amazing. Then what Matthew Boyd has done, and then obviously Shota's just Shota, right? So I like that top three, and the starting pitching's been, you talk about glass half full. Starting pitching, no one could have imagined without Justin Steele that the Cubs would have the best starting pitching in baseball. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, and they've had injuries, and Ray is fringe guy, swing guy that he's pitching great. He's never pitched as many innings either.
No.
So yeah, I mean, you gotta love the Cubs pitching infrastructure is good at this, taking these average guys and getting more out of them. And like I said, already major leaguers, making them better. Like a guy like Keller and a few of these other older guys that are doing well in the pen. They're good at that. So yeah, you got to give them credit. The starting rotation has been great. How to be in the catching infrastructures, the pitching infrastructures, really good. Now it's just a question of, can we survive? It's a question of how they use the next 3 weeks, really, because the last 10 games, hopefully, doesn't matter, right? You win 5, you win 4, you win 6. Doesn't matter, right? It's not like we have to go 10-0, right? At the end. Unless there's we're just hot and we can just roll right through. These next 3 weeks are big, and then hopefully they can line up the bullpen, the pitching staff for October, and hopefully hopefully we have a bye. But if not, they could just settle in for a home field advantage in the first round. Hey, they got to win 2 games no matter what, right?
Right.
Either you win 2 games extra in the regular season, or you win those 2 games in the first round in October. What's the difference, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about all that, and I'm excited about Assad. He's
Yeah.
looking pretty good,
He's
and then
good.
Tyone looking good. He's gonna be able to eat the rest some innings. Maybe he can give. He had his groin thing pop up yesterday. Hopefully he's okay. But
Yeah.
I think Assad is a huge weapon. If you use him in a short burst in October, or as we sequence out the rotation at the end, if he's a bridge guy or he's a piggyback guy, whatever, he's powerful. And then Palencia, I thought he was I was worried about him. I'm like, how long can he last? And he's awesome. I mean, the Cubs need to ride this team and see how far they can take them, and just enjoy the ride, see what happens. You never know. Look at those Giants teams from the early teens. I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't like the best
2010,
team on
12,
paper,
and
but
14. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they weren't
Feels
the
like
best team on
this.
paper. And then, there's some other teams too. They just get hot, that's great. And even last year, the Dodgers looked like they were cooked against the Padres, and they shut them out for 2 games, and and then rode that all the way to the World Series because they have a great lineup, and they were top heavy. So good for them. Who knows? And that's the beauty of baseball, beauty of October. And I really think Shota could be like Madison Bumgarner in October. He's just got the vibe, right?
I hope so, man. I hope so. I love the late night games, hate the late night games, right? Hate them the next morning when I'm exhausted, right? But love it because I clear all the rest of my stuff and I can just sit down and watch the Cubs, right? The other thing is, and I'm not gonna shy away from this, I love the Giants broadcasts. I like their baseball radio with John Miller and Dave Fleming, and I like Krupp and Kipe. I think they have every team should strive to have broadcasts like that. Go get the best out there. Don't make it out to look like some college class. Go out and get the best guys, because theirs is the best. Do you listen to them there? And it's they're great. It's like those 2 guys on TV are funny and great, and going back and forth. Met them when I was doing Cubs games. I want to say that Ron Coomer played on the same team as Dwayne Kuiper, right? Great dudes. And then John Miller, I think, is the greatest broadcaster that's alive right now. Him, and look, I put Pat Hughes right there with him. And I love the Cubs radio, so don't get me wrong. But when it's Pat and Ron, but these guys are good, man. So the best part about the way that the TV package works now is that you can actually watch those guys if you want to. Do you ever do that? Did you watch Wayne doing the Wayne Randazzo doing the Angels with Mark Gubicza?
You can only do that if you're not in market.
Oh, wow.
So they black it out if you are local, but I've done it, when I'm on the road, or I want to hear another team's broadcast. You can use VPNs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I do like the Giants broadcasts. They're very entertaining. And I love their ballpark. It's quirky, but it's a pitcher's park. And then, it's 58 degrees there in August.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have family,
been to some
in the
games
Bay
there.
Area. So I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, let's move to the Bay Area and be cold in July.
I hope that we get some runs early on these guys and win some of these games and just keep the momentum going. You go out to the West Coast. These are very winnable series, very winnable games. Sunday was a grinder, but the great teams grind it out. It's hard to sweep in baseball, in Major League Baseball. But to do that, you know what? I like the way that this team's playing. I like seeing Kyle Tucker as the best player, because I think that kind of lays it out for everyone there. This team felt like it really didn't have a direction when he wasn't playing well. It's the challenge is Craig Counsell's got to be a good manager here and figure out how to utilize all of the tools that the Cubs have. Stop being loyal to these guys that aren't producing. Ride the hot hand and win as many games. The lineup against the Brewers, the last game of that series, sucked. Just stunk. And that's a game where if you win, look at where we're at right now. If you win that game, all of a sudden the Brewers, they're getting tight. 2-game swing on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that game was, I was at that game. It was just, I think we left 8 guys on base. It was just awful. And they did pinch hit for Dansby in the 8th inning with Caissie So, I think you're seeing a little bit of, that whole like the leash is being pulled, in terms of, hey, we
Right.
got to win this game, but we're not going to wait around for you guys to like show up. The thing with me was like, hey, what, you have this like off day now, like tomorrow, why not play? Why not play? Give Caissie,
Yeah,
give
right.
Hap
One
2 days
more.
off. Yeah,
Yeah,
give
right.
Caissie 2 days. Like let Caissie start, give Hap 2 days off, then let's say a day off. Things like that. Just like give these guys extra days off. To like really recharge and see if that can spark their bats, because sometimes it's just about a rest. It's just getting off your feet. Give these guys a DH day. I just think that stuff works, but who knows, right? Like these guys are professionals. Um, they can figure out, like, they know better than I do behind the scenes on how to like spark a bat. But
Do you think that like the Cubs, and I think they did. I think they wasted an opportunity to break these guys in early when they had that garbage bench going for a while, right? Like with Birdie and Brujan, right? It's like why not have Ballesteros? Why not have a Caissie? Why not have somebody that's capable of coming in and changing a game? Instead it's like we're playing it like we think we're like the 96 Yankees, right? We got Jeter and all these other guys. All we need is just somebody to come in and play defense in the ninth. Like, no, it's not. That's not what this team is. This team needs to have that guy that can come in and hit a home run in the big spot, right? To
yeah,
drive
a
the
lot of that,
ball.
I think the same thing as you do, or most fans do, but a lot of times I'll look at the 40 man and what could go wrong. Somebody gets hurt or somebody gets
Right.
a stomach bug. Who's going to play the infield? Stuff like that. Because I think the same thing. But then if you bring up Ballesteros and you have Turner, like they're kind of useless in the field. What if somebody
Right.
gets hurt? What if somebody, like I said, somebody gets like the blue flu or something like that? Like they can't use them for
COVID.
2 days.
The new
Whatever,
COVID
right?
strand.
I mean, COVID, I
Yeah.
think they still have the COVID. I don't know if they still have the COVID IL, but you can't put someone on the IL for 2 days, right? So,
Right.
and then
Right.
the 40 man, they don't have any other infielders. So I think there's a little bit of that, like hedging, how they
Well,
think
Shaw
about
could have
their-
done that. I mean, like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
guess
they
but
did,
whatever.
yeah, there was some of that going on, but I understand, like I said, I think the same, and those guys didn't have options, right? And you couldn't stash them in AAA for like
Yeah.
4 or 5 days. And then there's like a rule, you can't bring them back up until there's an injury and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think, like I definitely would have preferred that. Like, I don't know why Justin Turner didn't go on the blue flu IL and let Ballesteros play for 10 days, like around
Yeah.
the All-Star
Right.
break. I mean, what's the big deal? It's the All-Star, it's just 6, 7 days, right? So, like, why not just go on the IL and like just say, your back hurts.
Yeah, right, right. We've seen that before. Well, Naren, I love hanging out with you, man. Thank you for coming on the channel. Thank you guys for getting in the comment section on a daily basis and commenting, whether you agree or disagree. I think we can all agree that the Cardinals suck, and that's always good. And who knows? Can the Brewers choke this away? And I'm going to tell you guys, the answer is yes, although it would have been a lot easier had we put our best lineup together on that last day and won 4 out of 5 against those guys. But you know what? Just got to keep putting the pressure on them, because I feel the momentum is definitely on the Cubs side right now. Just got to keep going out there and playing their best baseball. All right, Darren, thank you, man. We'll see you in the comment section. Talk to you guys as well. And don't forget about our AveD site. There's the QR code, and come hang out with us there. We'll get prizes. You get to pick games. It's a lot of fun. We keep track of your wins and losses. Got our own standings board and other stuff there. So thank you guys. And again, go Cubs.